Thanks for joining us here on the CBN News Channel. I'm Ephraim Graham. This winter is not going down without a fight. The massive snowstorm that works its way across the nation's midsection is now roaring up the East Coast. Now the area, so battered by Superstorm Sandy, is bracing for another beating. The remnants of Sandy are still clearly visible, but residents from the Jersey coastline to eastern Long Island just can't catch a break.
We're in the process of rebuilding. I have all construction material all over the place. I had to put it up on higher ground. I think it's going to flood again.
Forecasters predict the winter storm will move slowly through those areas before finally pushing towards New England later today. Virginia and North Carolina got the brunt of the storm Wednesday.
It's the heaviest wet snow I've ever seen in my life, and I grew up in northwestern Pennsylvania, so I can tell you, I'm used to this.
Snow piled up on roads, making travel nearly impossible. There were so many accidents throughout the state, Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell declared a state of emergency.
The National Guard has been authorized to call up to 200 people. They've got 100 that have been mobilized at this point. I'll be reporting this afternoon, and they'll be involved in everything from traffic control missions to debris removal.
North Carolina roads were also a nightmare.
He hit us about 2 times in the front, and then he slammed into the side of us and then started pushing us down the embankment.
In the nation's capital, as much as 10 inches was forecast, but the snow there quickly turned to rain in warmer than expected temperatures. Even with no snow sticking, much of Washington was shut down. And ironically, that included a hearing House Republicans had called to examine global warming. The National Weather Service predicts up to 7 inches of heavy, wet snow in southeastern Connecticut, and central Massachusetts could get up to 8 inches. Well, a rare sight at the U.S. Senate Wednesday. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul tied up the Senate for 13 hours as he filibustered hours on the president's pick to head the CIA. The old-fashioned filibuster allows a Senate member to keep the body from voting by holding the floor as long as he can and keep speaking. Paul was protesting U.S. policy regarding the use of manned drones. He wants written assurance they won't be used to kill American terror suspects in the U.S. Paul ended his talk at 1 a.m., long enough to delay the vote on John Brennan, who's expected to be confirmed today. Well, Christians may soon be forced to practice civil disobedience. That is the warning from leaders of the National Religious Broadcasters at a conference this week. Southern Baptist leader Richard Land and NRB board member Janet Parshall said they cited same-sex marriage and the President Obama's birth control mandate as well. Land said those issues are non-negotiable, even at the cost of paying fines and going to jail. Parshall said today's Christians may have to decide whether to, quote, bow our knee to government or to God. The Supreme Court will consider cases filed by supporters of same-sex marriage this month, and dozens of lawsuits have been filed against the contraceptive coverage mandate. A new measure to protect the rights of pro-life employers, insurers, and medical workers has been introduced on Capitol Hill. Congressional correspondent John Jessup explains how it might impact the contraception mandate in Obamacare.
For months, we've been reporting on the legal challenges to the health care law's Health and Human Services contraception mandate and how critics say it is a violation of their First Amendment rights. With the announcement of this new act, it puts a personal twist on how the mandate affects religious employers, faith-based organizations, and their employees. In an attempt to turn the tide on what they call an all-out assault on religious freedoms, a trio of House Republicans introduced the Health Care Conscience Rights Act. The goal is to protect freedom of conscience as it relates to abortion and to give potential victims the right to seek relief in court if they're forced to participate in procedures that violate their religious or moral beliefs. If it were law, it would give greater protections to nurses like Kathy Sanzone DiCarlo. She says she was forced to take part in an abortion in 2009, even though the hospital knew of her objections as a practicing Catholic. 4 years later, she says she still has nightmares from the procedure.
I feel strongly about caring for the sick and giving life and being true to my calling as a nurse. And to be forced to do this was anathema. It's everything that you thought was not in America.
John Jessup, CBN News, Capitol Hill.
Conservatives are criticizing President Obama's nominee to head up the Environmental Protection Agency. Gina McCarthy has orchestrated many of the EPA's most controversial new rules, including regulations on new power plants. If confirmed, she'll be placing more regulations in the books. She's likely to face some tough questions from Republicans during her Senate confirmation hearings. Conservatives say the EPA is killing jobs and undermining the energy industry. And joining us now with more is Phil Kerpen, president of American Commitment. Phil, you're opposing McCarthy for her role in ratcheting up fuel economy standards. Why does that concern you?
Well, there was a fundamental deception at the heart of the way that EPA and the California Air Resources Board conducted these negotiations that led to these fuel economy standards. And you and I and just about everyone else refers to them as just that, fuel economy standards, because that's what they are. But the federal law that establishes fuel economy standards actually prohibits states from setting their own standards. And so what EPA in California did is they said they were regulating greenhouse gases from automobiles as if that's something other than fuel economy, and they use that to get around the federal law, and they use that deception to kind of force the industry's hand. And these standards, I think, are going to be very expensive. They're going to force a lot of people out of the new car market completely. But that deception led Gina McCarthy to lie to the United States Congress. She went up to Congress and said, these are not fuel economy rules, when everyone knows that's exactly what they are. And I think someone who would flat out lie to Congress to engage in that type of deception in order to move very expensive regulations forward is not qualified for a promotion.
Well, McCarthy also worked for new regulations on power plants. Tell us about that.
Yeah, she's the deputy administrator for air and radiation, the assistant administrator for air and radiation at the EPA. And so all of these regulations that we've seen over the past couple of years have come through her office. They've been extremely heavy-handed, particularly on coal-fired power plants. And we've seen a lot of coal-fired power plants all over the country shutting down as a consequence of some of these rules on things like mercury. And as they go forward, we're going to see those greenhouse gas regulations in the power generation sector as well. And those are going to be extremely expensive for everyone's electric bill. And if you think that what they've been doing is great and they ought to do more of it, and you're not concerned that people are going to have difficulty paying much higher utility bills, then I think it would make sense to promote her. But if you think this has been a mistake, then it makes no sense to take someone who's been at the center of that and give her an even more prominent role.
Real quickly, what impact on the average American do these regulations have?
Well, they have a considerable impact. For instance, this auto deal that she's touting as a big achievement means that the price of every automobile that you buy is going to be $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 more than it otherwise would have been. For 6.8 million Americans, they're not going to be able to qualify for an auto loan at all on the least expensive new car. So they're going to have to drive used cars for quite a bit longer in order to, as their only option. On the electricity side, they're going to see much higher electricity bills as all of these rules move forward. On the industrial side, there are going to be fewer industrial manufacturing jobs available because of the standards that are coming out of EPA. So it means higher prices, it means less jobs, it means a worse economy overall. And in my view, there's very little environmental benefit to show for these rules because we already have such strict regulation.
In light of all that you've just said, is there any effort in Congress to oppose this confirmation?
Yeah, I think we're going to see considerable pushback for a couple of reasons. All of the substantive policy reasons that I've said, and also the scandal that engulfed her predecessor. Lisa Jackson resigned in disgrace because she was using a secret identity email account under the name Richard Windsor. Gina McCarthy regularly corresponded with her, knew about the secret account, knew about the attempts to avoid transparency with the public. And I don't think you promote someone in that situation to essentially be King Richard Windsor II, which I think is what she would be. And so I think this will be a very heavily contested nomination. Okay. David Vitter's the ranking member on the committee, and I think he's going to be really tough on her, deservedly so.
All right, we'll be watching. Phil Kerpen, president of American Commitment, thank you.
Thank you.
Turning overseas now, North Korea is threatening to launch a nuclear attack against the United States. The warning comes just hours before the UN Security Council is scheduled to vote on a new round of sanctions against the outlaw regime. A North Korean spokesman said Washington is trying to start a nuclear war and pledged to exercise its right to make a preemptive strike. Overheated rhetoric from Pyongyang is common, but there's been a lot more of it lately. North Korea is angry over the threat of sanctions and upcoming joint American-South Korean military exercises. Resolving the Iranian nuclear crisis is crucial to Israel's ability to negotiate a peace deal with the Palestinians. That's the message from Danny Ayalon, former Israeli ambassador to the U.S. Ayalon told reporters Israel could be more ready to enter into peace talks with the Palestinians once the threat of Iran is removed.
It's a dangerous attempt to link the Palestinian problem with the Iranian. They are not linked. However, taking care of the Iranian threat would help very much assure the Israelis that they can be more ready for negotiations with the Palestinians.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Iran, Syria, and the Israeli-Palestinian peace talks will be on the agenda when President Barack Obama visits later this month. The Arkansas Senate has voted to override the governor's decision on what could be the most restrictive abortion ban in the nation. Governor Mike Beebe recently vetoed a measure banning most abortions once a fetal heartbeat can be detected using an ultrasound, which is usually 12 weeks into pregnancy. The governor tells lawmakers the bill is unconstitutional. Beebe used the same reasoning last week when he vetoed a 20-week abortion ban. Lawmakers quickly overrode that veto as well. Each chamber needs only a simple majority to override a veto in Arkansas. Coming up, the Bible comes alive. Hear what motivated the makers of the new Bible miniseries and how it has affected their faith.
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill, and in this hand is a $20 US gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? In this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was. Help! And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
The name of Jesus Christ is no longer allowed at city council meetings in Longview, Washington. Area ministers are typically invited to pray before council meetings, but the mayor has now advised them not to use Jesus' name in those prayers because it could expose the city to lawsuits. The pastors have responded saying if ministers can't speak the name of Jesus Christ, they will no longer provide invocations for those meetings. At least one atheist resident has complained about the prayers. Christian broadcasters' religious freedom is at risk. That's the warning from the president of the National Religious Broadcasters. Frank Wright urged this year's convention goers to unite to defend their right to spread the gospel. He warned biblical teachings are being dubbed hate speech, and there's growing potential for discrimination lawsuits against Christian organizations for refusing to hire non-believers. Wright told leaders restrictions on religious freedom anywhere are threats to religious freedom everywhere. The new Epic TV miniseries, The Bible, is already a huge hit. Nearly 15 million viewers tuned in for the first installment, and each Sunday night this month, millions more will turn to the History Channel to check it out. Joining us now with more are the producers of the Bible series, Mark Burnett and Romer Downey. Thank you so much for being here. First question, what led you to tackle such a huge project?
It's epic. It's the most important story in the foundation of Western civilization. And the stories are so great. We knew it would make a great series. We believed completely. And of course, this week, we were proven correct. You know, a total this week with the re-airings, 27 million people have watched it this week, the #1 show in America.
And it also trended #1 on Twitter. It was the most sought after on the web. And just the fact that people are engaged, that people are having conversations about the Bible all across the country at water coolers, in workplaces, it's very exciting.
Indeed it is. Now, Mark, I know you have said that your goal was to reveal a thread of God's love throughout the Bible. What are some of the most profound examples of that in this series, you think?
Oh, there's so many, but what came to my mind right there, remember, 27 million people, and Jesus has not even arrived in the story yet. And when Jesus arrives, one of my favorite moments is when Jesus calls Matthew the tax collector. Because, you know, this tax collector, Matthew, is Jewish, just like Jesus, but working for the Romans, taking the hard-earned money from his own people. People hate the tax collectors, but Jesus calls the tax collector. There is a moment of poignancy that makes your heart want to break. It was beautiful.
We had tackled these stories from Genesis through Revelation, that we wanted to tell this story as one great big love story, that it is about God's love for all of us, that he so loved the world that Jesus comes for us, a story of redemption and hope. And we've told it over these 10 episodes. That final episode on Easter week will have the crucifixion, the resurrection, the ascension, the conversion of Paul right through to Revelation. And it's all just so beautiful and done in a very cool way as well. You know, we have 3 teenagers at home, and they were concerned that when it came to special effects and making it cool, making it feel authentic, that we would show that it was gritty and that we would bring these miracles to life on the screen in exciting ways, and we have achieved that.
Indeed. Roma, I know you were also in this series. How did it affect your Christian faith?
Oh, well, you know, I went over to Morocco with my husband, with my producer's hat firmly on my head. I didn't expect to play a part at all. Had the opportunity to step into the role of the Blessed Mother, the Mother of Christ. And as best I could, you know, as a mother myself, I brought to that a mother's heart, to feel those scenes as a mother. To see those scenes through a mother's eyes were so emotional. It was very profound. And, you know, I think that this journey that we've been on as husband and wife, I can say that it has deepened our marriage, it has deepened our friendship, and it has deepened our faith.
Yes, very much so.
Beautiful. Now, I know that you're also releasing a devotional and novel based on this series. Tell us about that.
You know, the scripts were coming in and we were giving out to all the scholars and church leaders, and there was a resounding comment back. You need to publish these scripts because these scripts are so vividly descriptive. It's helping me feel the Bible. And we didn't want to publish the scripts, so we novelized the scripts. It's called A Story of God and All of Us. And what we think is wonderful, more people are discussing the Bible this week than in decades. On Twitter, on the web, they're watching it on TV, they can read it in the book, and we're even bringing out a DVD immediately, highly unusual. We're doing that because we're worried that some people don't have cable TV. So April 2nd, the DVD comes out in both English and Spanish.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you both so much for your time. Looking forward to these next few weeks indeed.
Thank you.
Up next, every year, millions and millions of birds stop in Israel. We'll show you why they're flocking to the Holy Land.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Most of the news out of the Middle East deals with violence and unrest, but it is also a land of great beauty and natural wonders. About 500 million birds migrate through Israel twice a year. That's because it lies along one of the world's major migration routes. Chris Mitchell brings us this remarkable story.
The Hula Valley hosts millions of birds and thousands of visitors each year.
This is one of the richest sites in the world for bird watching.
Israel sort of is a junction between three continents, and birds that are essentially trying to avoid high mountains, great expanses of water. They funnel through very specific flyways.
Some of these migrating birds fly 2,000 miles in 3 to 5 days without a meal. They fly from Europe and Asia to Africa. For many, Israel is the halfway point. That point is the Hula Valley, part of a 3,700-mile stretch from Syria to Mozambique. The Bible mentions the bird migration as part of a metaphor. Even the stork in the sky knows her seasons, and the turtle dove and the swift and the thrush observe the time of their migration. Some 400 species of birds stop for refueling, and a fraction even winters here, including 30 to 45,000 cranes. Listening to them talk, one can understand why King Hezekiah said he chattered like a crane. In fact, it's not just noise. Experts say crane parents and chicks can actually recognize each other's voices. 20 years ago, there were hardly any cranes here because the natural swamps were drained for farmland. The ground didn't work for agriculture, however, so experts restored part of the lake.
And the answer was essentially to give it back to nature. And so the project has gone sort of in a circle, and we are back to trying to renovate, trying to sort of reproduce what existed here in the past.
That and a special feeding project brought the cranes back, along with the visitors.
This is a wonderful opportunity for us to educate people about birds, about nature. I think that you don't need to be a bird lover when you are coming here, but you are definitely a bird lover when you are going out of this site.
Visitors to Agamon Hahula Reserve can ride the safari wagon into the midst of the cranes. Guides say there's no place else in the world to see so many cranes in such a small area. And bird watchers come from all over to see the phenomenon.
I don't even care if you like birds. You have to experience this and come and see thousands and thousands and thousands of cranes.
If you're a birder, I don't think you could find a better place to come to see the variety of species, as well as the atmosphere and the beauty of the place. It's just unrivaled in any place in the world.
For now, these cranes are getting ready for the long flight back to Russia or Finland for the summer. But they'll be back next year, along with the bird lovers. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Agaman Hahula.
What a beautiful sight. Stay with us. We're coming right back.
The game show of biblical proportions is back with more action, more fun, more stars, Kirk Franklin, Mary, and more nuns.
The nuns just whooped you, man.
The American Bible Challenge Season 2 premieres Thursday, March 21st at 9/8 Central, only on GSN. Visit GSNTV.com to find GSN in your area.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new GripGo, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and GripGo grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of GripGo. You can get the amazing GripGo with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete GripGo systems for just $14.95.
To order GripGo for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
The game show of biblical proportions is back with more action, more fun, more stars, Kirk Franklin, Mary, and more nuns.
The nuns just whooped you, man.
The American Bible Challenge Season 2 premieres Thursday, March 21st at 9/8 Central, only on GSN. Visit GSNTV.com to find GSN in your area.
Kate Middleton says she and her husband, Prince William, still don't know the gender of their baby. The Duchess of Cambridge appears to be on the defensive after a supposed slip during a rare public appearance. As she greets the crowd, a woman hands her a teddy bear. That's when some say they overheard Kate make reference to a daughter, something the royal mom-to-be quickly denied. Take a listen, you decide. Later, another well-wisher told the Duchess she could not wait for her to become queen. Kate jokingly responded to that woman that she'd be waiting a long time. Since then, the British media has jumped on Kate's alleged slip. Many of the tabloids read, "It's a girl," right there on the front page. Well, that is going to do it now for this edition of the CBN News Channel. Remember, you can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. And tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Have a great day.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.